Welcome to Haunt Weekly.
Hello, everyone. I'm Jonathan.
I'm Crystal.
And this is Haunt Weekly, a weekly podcast for the haunted attraction entertainment community. Whether you're an actor, owner, or just plain aficionado, we aim to be a podcast for you. And we return to you this week with some fun. It's been kind of serious around here lately. We wanted to do something a little entertaining. So we're talking about a board/card game. It really has elements of both. Mm-hmm. Like, it's framed as a card game, but it's advertised on board game sites. It definitely has a board, but it definitely has cards.
Yes.
So there you go. That's the conclusion of this week's episode about Spring Park. That's all the details you need to know. Please check us out next week.
No, that's not how this works. You know this.
All right. Well, indeed, we will be talking about a board/card game this week. That part was serious. So please, if that is not what you're interested in right now, I understand. But do check us out at all the places we exist. We're at hauntweekly.com, Haunt Weekly on Facebook, youtube.com/hauntweekly, and wherever you get your podcast from. All right, so let's do the early stuff this week. Work we did for the haunt. We actually did this. What we're talking about this week.
No.
We've been talking a lot about how an important bit of haunt is keeping contact and keeping up with your crew over the year.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what we did this weekend.
Yes.
We got together with some of our core crew, and we played a card game.
Yes. And we brought them a saw.
And we brought them a saw, and we brought them alcohol that they'll probably not drink.
Yeah, well.
You can't win them all. But on that note, that's the work we did for the haunt this week. And guess what? You get to share it with us. Isn't that great? Now, shut up. But don't laugh. It's serious.
Okay.
But every week...
We're always serious here.
Yeah, dead serious. Super serious podcast/YouTube thing.
Uh-huh.
But yes, one thing that is serious is we do ask a question of the week every week. And last week we were talking about the upcoming, we're doing the news.
Yes.
And the big news story was we finally got some real details on the upcoming Universal themed year-round haunt in Vegas.
Mm-hmm.
And after hearing those details, our excitometer went down a little bit.
Yeah.
I think that's safe to say.
I think that's safe, yeah.
I mean, I think mine went down more than yours, but...
Our skeptical meter went up a little bit.
Yeah. Our skeptical erection rose. I mean, you can phrase it however you want. But
I don't think anybody phrases it like that.
No, probably not. So we asked you guys, do you think a year-round Vegas haunted attraction will work? And, well, we got some feedback.
Mm-hmm.
Don Garlic said, Orlando had a couple of pretty successful ones. As long as it's kept up, I see it doing well.
Mm-hmm. Jinx Midnight said, looks like it's going to be located at Area 15, which is the same venue as Meow's Wolf Omega Mart and other entertainment options. I could see it doing phenomenally well there because there's so much to do already at the location, which we did not know when we reported on it. It's not really far off the strip either.
Okay, and I gotta say, this comment I think really does help move my excitement meter a little bit back up.
Right.
Because knowing it's in the same venue as Meow Wolf is a big deal.
It is.
Meow Wolf is a big art collective, art space attract. We've actually written about it here. We actually did a news episode about them not that long ago.
Right. And, if people are seeking Meow Wolf out, because they're going to be interested in not strip kind of things.
Yeah, I can see the overlap here.
Yeah.
And I don't know what is not far off the strip in this case.
No, me either.
But the thing is this, like, we live in a tourist town, and I can tell you straightforward that you want to see tourists turn around constantly. Just stand on Canal Street and watch them approach it from the French Quarter and go, oops.
Yep.
Went too far. This is the real city.
Mm-hmm.
It happens a phenomenal amount. So yeah, that does even if it's just a block or two away, there's still a lot of reluctance for tourists to go outside that. But hey, like I said in the episode, if they can get good transportation, good signage, good promotion, maybe they can pull it off. Isaac, who asked me kindly never to attempt their last name again, said, I see it doing very well. However, they are missing out. They don't take advantage of all the licensing they own. Thank you!
Right.
They could host events for new horror movies or horror movie celebrity appearances. Interested to see it be all indoor as well. I don't know how much the indoor thing would matter in Vegas, because it does not rain much.
But it seems like it'd be hot.
That is, okay, that's a valid point. So, but the heat could be a problem. So, yeah, whatever.
One of those collectible shows could be a good venue for that too.
Yeah.
Lots of people will travel to those.
Yeah, and since you're already, like Jinx said, in there with Meow Wolf and all that other stuff, there's a lot of overlap and a lot of things you can do there. But I agree, they need to exploit all of their IP. And the ones I think the reason our flames went down a little bit was the IP they announced.
Yeah.
Did not inspire.
Right.
Other than Texas Chainsaw Massacre. That one I'm in.
Yeah. Teresa Griffin said, yes, it's a tourist town.
And I'm going to add, something I was thinking about after the episode is that not only is it a tourist town, it's a repeat tourist town.
Yeah.
There are people who go to Vegas quarterly, every 6 months, every year, or whatever. They go repeatedly, time and time again, partly because it's cheap and easy to get to, but because they like Vegas for Vegas. Myrtle Beach, where my parents vacation, had a very similar thing, where the same people would come back every year and constantly be looking for new things to do. That could benefit them.
Right, and we do know people who come to New Orleans every year for Halloween. So.
Exactly, or for Mardi Gras.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I love how it's like, people who come to New Orleans every year, and you're like, for Halloween, and I'm like, yeah, that's not the holiday that gets all the people here every year. Let's just be honest with that one.
Okay, it is the second competitor, though.
It is the runner-up. I will agree.
And the people I talk to go to the Halloween ones.
I think your sample is biased. Significantly.
Maybe a little bit.
All right. Haunted the Roxbury said, Universal with their deep pockets and being Area 15 in Vegas? Yes, for sure. Let's see how they use those deep pockets, first off.
Yeah.
That's my thing. It's the how.
And much like the rest of this episode, we're going to say, we hope that they succeed and that...
I hope the hell they succeed.
Yeah.
I want them to do well. I really do want this to do well. They gave my butthole a clinch when they announced the IP.
Yeah, okay. Greg Packard said there are already 2.6 million people per year going to Area 15 for other attractions, so it's likely to succeed.
I guess we will see. Oh, and by the way, I was told that butthole is very inconsiderate. You're supposed to say stink star.
Oh, okay.
Okay. But finally, Jared Haggerty said if they stick to the plans of changing things, then yes, it's in the right spot. And that's a thing, too. They did say they were planning on changing themes, but they didn't say how often or didn't give any real details about it. Mm-hmm. Meow Wolf, one of the things that draws people to it is that they are constantly cycling out exhibitions and cycling out things. Every time you go, especially if you go like only every few months, it's a different experience. Mm-hmm. So that's going to be the type of thing they have to keep going to keep that crowd going. Mm-hmm. All right, so this week's question of the week once again is on topic. What spooky card or board game do you enjoy? Let us know. Once again, what's up? HauntWeekly.com, Haunt Weekly on Facebook, and YouTube.com/HauntWeekly.
And when you answer this one, if you have a favorite, let us know where to get it, because we will play it, most likely.
Yeah, drop us a link, especially if it's remotely relevant to the haunted attraction industry.
Yep.
We would like to know. All right. So, I want to start this episode off with a spoiler. Mm-hmm. I know this card game is created by, it looks like two people. Mm-hmm. And I know how it is to be a solo or a small team creator and have anybody do a review.
Yeah.
Of your show.
You're basically clenching the entire time.
Yeah, so I want to release the tension in the room a little bit here. And besides, if you're just wanting to know the end game, hey, we're going to tell it to you. So basically, and the other reason is that I'm stalling. The other reason is that I know we're going to spend a lot of time down the road complaining, because complaining is easier and funnier and more engaging. And I don't want people to get the wrong opinion.
Well, And we try not to just complain. We try to give constructive
And
criticism,
we've got that at the end.
which is different.
Yes. We've
To
got
me.
some of that at the end. So I know that, but I know that like the 1 in 7 rule thing,
Yeah.
it can sound way more negative than we intend it to be.
Oh, yeah.
And I want to just come out on the top and say that ultimately we did really enjoy this game.
And so did everybody playing with
It
us.
was 5 for 5 in the group. Everyone did enjoy it.
In fact, our friends are buying their own copy.
So yeah, it was a bit of a road to get there. We'll be discussing that. But it was a fun game with some great artwork and some unique mechanics
Yes.
that we all 5 ended up really enjoying once, we got to that place.
Yeah,
But
we played it for over an hour and a half
I think we played
of
it for
actual gameplay
close
time.
to 2 hours. It was
Yeah.
approaching 2 hours of
Yeah.
gameplay time. I will say on the box it says it's about 30 minutes per game. At 5 people, it's longer.
Yeah.
So
I could see it being 30 minutes if we had just done the 2 of us, which
Or
we had
just 3
planned on
people.
doing, but
Yeah.
then we just, didn't.
we got gamed out, basically. Because, like I said, we spent about 3 hours. We spent a lot of time on this
On Saturday.
on Saturday. And yeah, we'll be going into all of that.
How we found out about it,
Oh, yeah.
I saw a Facebook ad for it that multiple of my Haunty friends had liked, so it showed up for me.
Mhm.
And I'm like, this looks cool. Now, I did misinterpret what I was seeing to think that my friends were promoting it, and they weren't, but, whatever. It's a Haunty game. Like, how could I not, right?
Well, I mean, the honest truth is you were going to buy the damn thing anyway.
Exactly.
Partly fueled by the fact it was only $25.
Yes.
It was a relatively inexpensive game. Which brings us into the physical, like, what the hell are we talking about?
Right.
So, Scream Park is, as I kind of joked at the top of the hour,
Mm-hmm.
is a card/board game. It was developed by Jasper Beatrix, and features art by Nick Tefani.
Mhm.
And published by DVC Games, which is the site where you can get it. And we will have a link to it in the description. And it was manufactured, if anyone actually gives a rat's ass, by Panda Game Manufacturing. They apparently do a lot of this type of small batch game manufacturing. So if you're a game designer or developer, might be something to look into.
Yeah. That's good to know.
The cost is $25. And if you live anywhere near Syracuse, New York, first of all, accept my deepest sympathies. And second, I don't really know what's in Syracuse either.
I know you've never been to New York. Why are you shitting on
I
people
don't.
today?
Why am I shitting on Syracuse specifically? But if you are near Syracuse, New York, you can actually pick it up from them directly. So that's kind of cool. You don't even have to get it shipped.
Yeah,
They have an option to get it from them directly.
yeah. And one of the things we really like is the flexibility and the number of players.
Yeah.
Because sometimes it's just the 2 of us, and then like this Saturday we were playing with 5 people because it is for 2 to 5 players.
Yeah, and the mechanics largely work the same. It's not like you have to learn a different set of rules.
Right.
I guess if you have 2 people, the passing the cards mechanic doesn't need to change directions.
Yeah.
But yeah, the mechanics work largely the same, and you don't have to learn anything different when you get more players in,
Mhm.
which is not true of some board games we played. They
Right.
get like significantly more complicated or more simple as you get more players.
Yeah, and I want to find out if this one's more simple because I know you mention it later, but you do use all the cards if you're playing with 5 people,
And especially in
which I
So-
think makes it harder.
yeah.
But
Well,
I'm not sure.
you still only draw the same number of cards in some cases.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know, but basically the idea is, you as a group
Mm-hmm.
are building a Scream Park. You're going to be building multiple attractions at one theoretical location, and your goal is to each build an attraction, and each attraction will feature multiple scenes with multiple elements. And you'll be awarded points by various factors that we will go over as we get a little deeper in. And the winner is declared by who got the most points after 3 quote-unquote nights of gameplay.
Right.
And so, yeah, we'll go into the actual mechanics a bit more detailed later. So, What's in the box? What's in the box? Not a severed head this time. Very fortunate.
Well, there's pictures of severed heads.
But not an actual one.
No, it's a tiny box. It's very portable. Anyway,
moving on, Crystal.
The box is really attractive. Like, it's really pretty. That's one of the reasons we bought it, honestly.
And honestly, the best thing about the ad, and you shared the ad with me, was that it just showed the fucking box.
Yeah. It's like, it's mostly black and white horror themed game.
Yeah, they know how to put it on the tin, man. What can I tell you?
Exactly. And it's a little snap box, so it's a well-designed thing.
Yeah.
And it holds everything well, as long as you don't try to even out the cards.
Yeah.
You have to make space for the little peoples. Yeah.
There's a little minor kerfuffle there, but basically the artwork in general is amazing. It comes with a mat.
Yes.
That's well drawn and well designed. And the cards themselves, the artwork, I mean, I cannot say enough good about the artwork.
Yeah.
Nick Tefani did an absolutely amazing job drawing these cards. The artwork is beautiful, is on brand. It reminds me a little bit like Has Been Hotel.
Yeah, I get that feel. It has a lot of energy in it.
Yeah, it's dark, it's gothy, it's horror themed, but it's very energized, which is why I think it Has Been Hotel so quickly.
Yeah. I agree with that.
So, yeah, it's got that kind of feel. Maybe they were going for it. I don't know. But it's what I immediately leaped to. There were a few quality of life issues. First, the cards of different sets but the same size were all mixed together.
Yeah.
Like, you would unwrap a pack, and the first 20 cards would be X, and then the bottom 10 would be Y.
Yeah, and we didn't realize that, but apparently this is a common thing. One of the people we were playing with does make games, and they have gotten ones before, and they're like, yeah, that's just how they package them.
How they package them at the factory.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
It's not much that the game designers can do about that.
Yeah, it's still annoying, and especially since we accidentally, in one case, shuffled a deck with two types of cards in and had to re-separate them out. That was a little bit annoying, but yeah, apparently this is a common thing for especially smaller runs like this. Second, the box doesn't have a good way to store the cards after you open everything. Like
little sleeves or slots to put them in, or
even like bring some rubber bands or hair ties or something would be my advice. Something to wrap around the cards.
I don't think they'd fit back in the box if you did that.
I don't think it's that tight of a fit. But yeah, but basically there's no way. The cards just kind of go into the box.
Yeah.
And it all gets jumbled around after you're done. So you're going to have to separate everything out the next time you go to play. So yeah, no slots, no trays, nothing like that. It's not a huge deal, but it is. It definitely ended the night kind of weird when we're like, oh, how do we put this up and not have everything get mixed again?
Well, and we were also trying to get out in a hurry.
Because we were all pretty tired by that point.
Yeah.
So what do you get? Well, you get 120 scene cards, 20 genre cards, 10 theme cards, 10 VIP cards, 5 reference cards, 5 VIP tokens, 5 scoring tokens, 20 staff tokens, a placemat, a rule sheet, and a partridge and a petri.
Yeah.
Now, you might note that is a lot of different stuff. And that kind of brings us to the part where we wanted to do the spoiler at the beginning.
Yeah.
Because this is the part that gets a little bogged down in some of the less than pleasant things.
Yeah, but there's definitely, like, we've already gotten our money's worth out of this game.
Oh god, yeah. $25.
Yeah.
And the fact we got about 2 hours of gameplay with a total of 5 friends in the group.
Yeah.
I feel like we did pretty well for ourselves. I'm not, like I said, I'm not returning this. If that's your rubric, I'm not returning this.
No.
But yeah, let's set the scene. You and I, because Ellie was running the store, went over to our friend's house. They are another triad. And we hung out with the 3 of them around an ottoman, which, by the way, first tip if you're going to play this game, get a decent-sized table.
Yeah, decent-sized table, and cats do love the black and white colors of the cards. So just putting that out there. Babies probably would too.
Yeah, your cards are going to be primarily on the table, not in your hand.
Yeah.
So just recognize that you're going to need a bigger space than you probably initially think. We got it to work, but no one said it was elegant.
Right.
All of us are well beyond full adult. We're all into Haunty stuff. And one of us, as you mentioned, is a card/board game super fan who also designs games, including card games, occasionally, and has designed and published 2 card games. So we're setting up on this ottoman, and we're opening the game up, and one of us is reading the rules. It wasn't either of us, it was one of them.
No, I decided I couldn't be trusted reading the rules that day.
Yeah, and I, at that point, did not have my glasses.
Yeah.
And we're going to get back to that point. That's actually a...
Yes, if you need readers, you're going to struggle a little bit.
So we open the game up, and we give the rules to someone with eyes and glasses so they can read them. And then we immediately realized we cannot figure out how to play this fucking game.
Yeah.
Panic, overwhelmed.
Well, and part of it is like, so we're not a neurotypical bunch.
No, we're all neurospicy, but in our own ways.
Yeah.
We're like, the Justice League of...
Yeah. Well, and it's really bad because I gave someone else it to read because I didn't think I could focus enough on reading, but I can't learn from somebody reading me instructions. Like, that's not how I learn.
Yeah. But
I can't do it.
No one else was understanding it either, so it wasn't just that. But yeah, first, I think one of the problems is that the rule sheet is too small.
Mm-hmm.
There are a lot of rules to this game, and the rule sheet is relatively tiny.
Yeah. And I think that one of the things that could be helped, instead of just complaining about it, would be to add the QR code to it to some rules.
Yeah.
And we'll get to that.
We've got our recommendations at the end,
Yeah.
but yeah, so we're not just idly complaining.
No.
But so then our board game friend, the one we mentioned earlier, had the actually very smart idea of, hey, let's get a YouTube video up. We'll all just sit around and watch a YouTube video. And that's great because now no one's under pressure to read the rules.
Right.
And explain what they probably don't understand. And we can all watch and listen together.
Yes, and we purposefully went into this situation without any knowledge of how the game is played and without telling our friends what game we were going to play.
Nope. We tried to keep we wanted to see where we were from
0 to 60
to reasonable. And so our friend got on their TV, found the official YouTube playthrough, and it was 55 fucking minutes long.
Yeah.
I don't think you can say 55 minutes long without the word fucking in there.
Yeah, but they did talk a lot about, characters and stuff around the game that wasn't really part of the gameplay.
And I get that.
And that's cool. Like, it was entertaining. But
I absolutely want to go back and watch that playthrough now.
Yeah.
But right then, in that moment, when we're trying to pick up the rules of the game, it was the worst thing we could have gotten. It was just not what we needed in that moment. And mind you, they're trying to fast forward and go back and forth and find the various things.
And speed it up.
And slow it down. And it just was such a goddamn mess. I got so overloaded. I'll just say I've never been happier I needed to take a poop not at home in my life. Because I'm like, I have to poop and I'm going to make it a long one because I need to get unoverloaded.
Yeah.
I mean, I just sat in the bathroom and it's like, oh my God, I am going to die here. Because I thought my brain was going to be hopelessly overtaxed. And bear in mind, we were all sober.
Oh, yes.
There was no inebriation involved here. Yeah, by the way, as pro tip 2, do not attempt this game on a night of drinking or getting high with friends.
Unless you're able to, understand complex things.
Or unless you all already understand it. If you understand it pretty well, you probably can pull it off. But if you're trying to understand it for the first time, no. Bad player. Don't do that. Try to come in this with all your mental faculties. But here's the thing. After about 90 minutes, it felt like each of us were getting different components.
Yeah.
And after about 90 minutes, it kind of just clicked. And when we all brought it together, with our powers combined, we brought a modicum of understanding of how the game worked.
Yeah. And we just decided to go ahead and jump in.
Yeah, and here's the thing. I don't know if we got everything right.
No.
In fact, I'm about 90% sure we fucked up a few things.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, I know I misscored once.
oh, and even that, I think we all misunderstood some of the rules.
Yeah.
Like, I think some of the ways points were awarded we didn't understand. But you know what? We all had a common understanding of our rules.
Exactly.
And that ended up being way more fucking important because we were able to create a functional and yet fun game out of it. So even if we
with
didn't
clear winners and
clear
and,
losers
and clear scoring
clear goals and clear
Yeah.
mechanics and everything.
based on our understanding of their rules.
And so, yeah, even if we were not perfectly in line with their rules, we got close enough that I feel like we played the game Scream Park.
Yeah.
And we still, since we had a common understanding, we were able to have fun and make the game work. So, basically, to try to explain how it works, kind of big picture, because we're not going to get into, like, every detail, because apparently that's a 55-minute video.
Yeah.
And it's probably not. It's probably closer to a 30-minute video, really, but it's a long video. The game centers around 12 rounds.
Mm-hmm.
And those 12 rounds are spread out over 3 nights. So that's 3 nights times 4 rounds each night. That equals 12.
Yes.
Math.
Right.
That's basic math, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you start the game by choosing a theme for your haunt.
Right. You get a choice between 2 of the cards.
You draw 2 cards. And there are, like I said, there are 10 theme cards.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're playing with 5 people, as we were, you will have all the cards played out, doled out to someone. And basically, you look at the 2, you go, okay, this is going to be my theme, and then the other one's discarded.
Yeah, and these are classic type themes. There was a camp. There was an alien abduction scene.
The cabin in the woods one
Yeah.
type thing.
A cathedral.
Yep.
So things like that.
The Mad Scientist Laboratory was one, I think. You have stuff like that. You have very broad themes that you can do a lot with. And most notably, most importantly, have elements that you can bring into the scenes in your haunt later.
Right.
Now, the goal of each night is to build the best darn haunted attraction you can with the random bullshit nature gives you.
Exactly.
I think that's about describing the game.
Mm-hmm.
So, your attraction is built using scene cards. Now, every scene card has 2 parts. A top part, which is like the top 3/4 of the card.
Right.
And the bottom, which is the bottom quarter.
Yeah.
The top part is the name and the name of the scene.
Right. It's the name of the scene, and it tells you what is required to complete the scene.
Yes. And the bottom part is an element in that scene.
Right.
And what type of element it represents.
Yeah.
And so what you do is you place a scene down, and then we're not getting into like the points for now. The points are awarded for scene.
Okay, so we're not doing that yet.
Yeah, no. I don't think we're going to get that detailed. Because like I said, we could be in the weeds on the mechanics on this for literally the next week and a half. This would have to be a 3-part episode.
Well, yeah. But I will say that it is important to stay on theme if you can.
Yes. Well, yeah, we're getting into... Okay. But the main thing is scenes are worth either 2, 4, or 6 points.
Mm-hmm.
And you start left to right. And you cannot do a scene of fewer points after you do one of earlier. So you can't follow up a 2 with a 4 and a 4 with a 6. And these are the types of mechanics.
No, you do... Oh, you... Okay. Never mind.
You can't put a 2... You can't put a 4 and then a 2 down.
Right.
To the right of
You
it.
can put a 2 and then a 4, but not a 4 and then a 2.
Exactly. And these are the types of things that got us really fucking confused, by the way. This type of stuff. So anyways, to keep it simple...
Too late.
Too late. Basically, what you do is you put down the card, and if you put down the card as your scene, then you have to fill the diamonds on the side to complete it. And you do that by placing other scene cards underneath it, exposing just the bottom, which is meaning just the element. Yeah. So even though you're not using that graveyard scene, you put it underneath another one, you might be using the zombie from inside it.
Yeah, or a sound effect, because some of the cards have effects on them.
Yeah, some of the cards are sound effects, some are props.
Lighting,
some are actor things. They have they basically have a wide variety of what the cards can be.
Right.
And some are just elements like trapdoors and things like that
Yeah.
too. Or you might even call them hazards.
Yeah, and some are bonuses.
Yeah. So basically, the bottom of the card is the element that you're using the most
Mhm.
throughout this, because it's very common to have one scene card, but then have 3 things underneath it and a bid to complete it.
Yeah.
So initially, you draw 8 scene cards. You get to use 2 cards per round. Now, how you use those cards is what's up to you. You can use it to place a scene and then put something in it.
Uh-huh.
You can sacrifice a card and get staff.
Right.
You can sacrifice both cards and get an element, which is basically just a free diamond filled.
Yeah, and that's really helpful on your last turn of the night.
Yeah, because by the time you get, we'll get to it in a minute, because what happens is after you've used your 2, everyone plays simultaneously. There are no turns in this.
Yeah, although, we had trouble with simultaneous.
Well,
that didn't happen, but...
The problem with simultaneous, and this was another issue with the game, is that if one person is thinking hard, i.e. maybe they got a shit hand, maybe they got a really good hand, and are trying to figure out how to maximize it.
Yeah, they're just really competitive and trying to chess the way out of it.
Or maybe they just don't give a fuck and are just trying to make something that doesn't suck.
Yeah.
Whatever the reason, if one person is taking a long time, it does hold the game up.
Mm-hmm.
And it can be very difficult to know who that is initially.
Yeah.
Especially because what you do, after you've used your 2 cards and done with them whatever you're going to do, you pass the remainder of your hand to the player next to you, and you pass the direction that the game tells you. And that's another mechanic that confused the shit out of us.
Well, so we just forgot about it.
Yeah.
It didn't confuse us. Like, it was written clearly, but we just forgot.
Well, and yeah.
Well, 4 out of the 5 of us forgot.
Yeah, we forgot to change directions. So yeah. But basically, you pass it on, and that means every time you do a round, you're looking at basically new to you cards.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that's not true if it's 2 players, though,
Yeah.
because you're going to get that hand back to you.
Yeah, I think that if it's 2 players, it would be better to draw from the pile.
Yeah, I agree, actually. That makes a lot more sense then. But anyways, you're going to get new cards each time, and basically over the course of 4 rounds, 2 times 4, you'll have used up the entire hand, and once you've used up that entire hand, the night is over.
Mm-hmm.
And when the night is over, it's time to score your attraction.
Yes.
And there are 3 ways you can earn points. First is the points I mentioned for each completed room.
Yeah, so if your card on top, if you've got all of the symbols matching at the bottom, it is a completed scene.
You get whatever points is awarded for that scene.
Yeah, so
And
it's
there's
2, 4,
Or
6.
6. Yep. That's easy. The second is the VIP. Now, we haven't gone into the VIP because this mechanic confused the shit out of us. Jesus, take a shot every time I've said that and
Yeah.
wake up dead.
Well, yeah, and to be fair,
Give me 5.
we only played it 2
times.
full rounds.
2 times, yeah. 2
Yeah.
full games.
2 full games.
But yeah, and the VIP, basically at the start of the game, you draw 3 VIP cards, 1 for each night. It's a Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And the VIP, the idea is they walk through your haunt from left to right.
Right.
But in order to progress to the next room, that room has to meet certain criteria.
Right, and they start outside.
Yeah.
And some of the players didn't understand that they started outside, so you don't automatically get 2 points for the first room.
Yeah.
So they have to be able to get into the first room to progress to the second room, and so on. And some of these are really fun. Like, I didn't like the fire marshal mechanic.
Yeah, the fire marshal
But
is... Fuck the fire marshal is...
It's hilarious that he's in there.
Yeah, and it's funny that he's in there, and his mechanic is he only advances if the scene isn't complete.
Yeah.
So basically, you're making the choice with the fire marshal. Am I completing the scene and getting the scene points?
Mm-hmm.
Or am I just leaving the scene incomplete and assumedly pissing the shit out of the fire marshal
Yeah.
and having him go through the entire scenes. Because each scene he goes through is 2 points.
Yeah. And
So-
it can only be the next scene that's incomplete.
Yeah. So you've got to keep another other cards you can place that will allow the VIP to move forward even if you don't meet the criteria.
Mm-hmm.
Things like trap doors,
Yeah.
which I'm sure the fire marshal loves the shit out of those. That's
Yeah.
going to make the fire marshal real happy.
Yeah.
But yeah, there are cards you can play that will allow the fire marshal to move forward. But even if you don't meet the criteria, but still, those are relatively few and far between and are best used in situations where you don't really have another choice.
Right.
So, yeah.
Now, the second way you can gain point, or the third way.
Okay,
rather.
actually, I wanted to cover one more VIP that I
okay.
saw on the site that I love this one. The Super Fan. We didn't actually get this one.
I thought we got him the first time.
Yeah, but only goes through rooms where there is eyes on the card's artwork.
Oh, okay. So no, we didn't get that one. We got the one where you had to have an actor in the scene because there are that is a mechanic of it.
Yeah. So we're
That's
not
how
gonna
you
we're not
use
gonna
your
go
staff.
over in this
No.
super brief overview.
The super brief, meaning 45 minutes instead of 55.
Well, the actual overview part's like 15.
Yeah,
hopefully.
I know.
Still super.
But
brief,
anyway, but yeah, I think the VIPs are an interesting mechanic, and I think we all enjoyed them.
Yeah, oh yeah.
They were
being a fun mechanic.
fun seeing who was coming to the haunt that night.
Yeah, and the third one you were talking about.
Yeah, was being on theme. So your scene card has 2 theme elements, and your theme card has
Yeah.
2 scene elements, and then your scene cards have
Those
those
elements.
elements. So
Yeah.
you try to get as many scenes that have the theme on those cards, and then you get extra points for that.
So it's kind of like you know the old adage about good, fast, and cheap. Pick 2 because you're never getting all 3.
Yeah.
It's kind of like that. You're trying to figure out what you're going to really focus on and what's going to kind of be your dump stat for that round. Like most of us, when the fire marshal came through, we said, fuck the fire marshal.
Yeah.
Fuck that asshole. We're focusing on completed rooms because we can get more points for scenes and we can get those beautiful theme points. We were just talking about them.
Exactly.
So you can get more than 2 per scene that way, even on 2-point scenes. But then again, what you could have done is just laid out all the cards as scenes
Mhm.
and not put any elements in them and probably had that asshole traipse through 6-8 different scenes.
Yeah, the maximum was 8, I think, because Farrell and I did the math.
Yeah.
I
So-
think that was the max points for just laying down the cards and not focusing on building any scenes.
Well,
For
but
the
the
fire
fire marshal
marshal.
going there would have been 16, wouldn't it? Because he'd have gone through 8 rooms. Or are you limited to 4 scenes? I don't remember. Either way, we did the math and it was better for all of us to just fuck the fire marshal and
Yeah,
build rooms.
yeah.
But that's the kind of thinking you got to do.
Hmm.
And then you repeat this for all 3 nights. And we didn't go into a lot of the mechanics. We didn't talk about the staff mechanic at all.
Right.
Because some cards you get staff to start with. Sometimes you spend, you can sacrifice cards to get staff. But that was just not a super interesting mechanic. And there's other little elements too that are interact with it we're not discussing here for a bunch of reasons. But yeah, so let's get into the good.
Hmm.
This is kind of where we wrap it up and then we do our suggestions at the end.
Hmm.
The artwork.
Yeah.
I keep harping on the artwork, but my God, it was good.
It's really pretty and it plays really well together. The multiple strategies is also really good because
Oh.
you can focus on.
Yeah. If you want to make it so that your strategy is just to build like 6-point rooms
Yeah.
and not worry too much about your theme or the VIP, you can get some serious points that way.
Yeah, and I wound up doing a mix with mine because I always had a 6-point room, but I think with 5 people, or maybe in all, I don't know, it's really hard to complete 2 6-point rooms
I
because I
agree.
tried to do that one round and it did not work.
I agree. My usual strategy was 2 2s and a 4.
Hmm.
and then make some vague effort to stick with theme, and then kind of worry about the fire marshal third.
Yeah.
But basically, you can go multiple directions with this.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think there's any right answer, and a lot of it really does depend upon the VIPs.
Yeah.
Because that fire marshal can go slob my knob. But the police chief was pretty cool.
Yeah.
I believe it's like if you had anything that was like gore related or something, he would go through.
Which is funny because you had a police scene in one of your scenes with hanging bodies.
Yeah.
As an element in it.
And that's the third element, is the humor. It's got this kind of weird Cards Against Humanity thing going.
Yeah.
Where even though like the elements you're looking for will kind of steer the elements you add to a scene,
right,
to make some kind of sense, the reality is there's no brakes on the stupid train here. Because A, you can put elements you don't need in a scene, but they match your theme. So for example, I had a graveyard scene once.
Mm-hmm.
But my theme for this game was the alien abduction one.
Right.
And so one of the I had to have sci-fi elements to stay on theme. So I had a graveyard scene with a zombie and something else in there that was very fitting for a graveyard, and an alien just hanging out.
Maybe it was an alien zombie.
You know what? I don't know.
You don't know what that alien.
But you're right. I also had a police station with hanging bodies everywhere because that worked with the crime theme, and it was like
and I had a cathedral that had a wailing nun and a monk.
I'm sorry.
It was
said
like
wailing nun. I assumed it was a nun that hunts whales.
Yeah,
the wailing nun. There she blows, my lord.
No. But no, it was 3 elements that all went together, and I could tell that, I don't know, it just seems like the people who made it really put a lot of thought into how the scenes would work together and the elements, and like they've had industry experience.
So yeah, if you play it straight and you fill the rooms as the cards describe, it'll mostly be sometimes it'll be kind of funny, and you'll get a little bit humorous. But once again, there's no brakes on the stupid train, like I said, especially if you're trying to appease the VIP or your theme.
Yeah.
So if it makes sense to put an alien in the goddamn cemetery, you're putting an alien in the fucking cemetery. That's all there is to it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I really did enjoy the scenes you would come up with, both from this is humorous and outrageous, because some of them were,
right,
but also just how much they made sense sometimes too.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, it's just the final thing is it's a great party game.
Yeah.
If everyone knows the rules or is remotely familiar with them, it's a great party game, and I can definitely see us bringing this one back to them now that we know the rules and don't have to go through that uphill battle there.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's going to be great to hang out with them and play this again. I'm looking forward to that, actually.
Mm-hmm.
So, the rough stuff. The learning curve is a brick wall, guys. I mean, I think it's a combination of there's just the game's throwing too many mechanics at you at once,
mm-hmm,
and I think there may be too many mechanics full stop.
It does seem jam-packed full of mechanics. That is true.
And it's easy, even when you know them, to forget them.
Right, because of the whole clockwise, counterclockwise.
And also, I'm pretty sure everyone fucked up the staff mechanic.
Yeah.
And I would say also the staff mechanic is way too easy to game, because it comes with 20 pieces. We have 5 players, and we ended up having to look up in the rules what to do when we ran out of staff pieces.
Yeah.
And the answer is you go get your own tokens. You're allowed to make substitutes. But the mere fact that's in the rules probably should warn you that the mechanic's easy to game.
Right. And the staff roll over every night.
Yeah.
Because that's how you break a tie at the end of the game. Yeah. At the end of the third night.
And because one of the ways you can dispose of a card, which once again at the end of a night, this can be a common thing. Oh, just give me 2 staff with that last card. That ain't gonna do shit for me otherwise.
Right.
At least now it's something, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so the result is I ended up with a shit ton of staff I never needed.
Yeah. Which is never a problem in the industry.
It's the exact opposite.
Yeah.
I wish that's a great problem to have. I wish I had that problem.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah. Um, so the cards themselves, the artwork is so beautiful.
They're very pretty. It is a very compact game.
They're small cards.
They're very small. Even with glasses, we struggled to read it and to see what the symbols are, because some of the symbols are very similar to each other. And so it was hard to tell them apart.
There is
at a glance.
Candle symbol that's meant to reference lighting effects, I think. Or what was the candle for again?
Like a haunting kind of.
Yeah, but there was a candle effect and a candle icon and an icon of a UFO beaming up something. Like
yes, and 3 people have 3 different versions of what that is. Now, you saw it online, so you know what it actually
And
is.
I actually saw it on the alien abduction card I had, the theme card.
Okay. Yeah, because it is a little bit bigger there.
Yeah.
But I thought it was a chess piece, and then somebody else thought it was a beaker. So there's some...
But basically, there's 2 symbols that are long, slender things with something vaguely at the top.
Yeah.
And they all look a lot alike until you look at them super close. Now, I think we may be reaching... We're impossible to please. Because we just said that you need a large table to play this game on. And now we're saying the cards are too small.
Well, yeah, but like if they were regular card
size,
yeah, like playing
these
card
are
size.
skinny. These are tiny cards.
Yeah, they're almost like moo cards.
Yeah, if you remember, anybody remembers moo cards other than us?
No,
probably not.
Probably not.
If you remember moo cards, let us know. Leave a comment or something. I'd be very curious to see if anyone remembers those.
Yeah,
they were popular for like 5 minutes, something like 20 years ago.
Yeah. But yeah, if they were regular size, then you could have the artwork be bigger and you could see the symbols easier.
Yeah. So yeah, even with glasses, it was a struggle. We already talked about the broken staff mechanic. I think that needs to be adjusted somehow. And we also mentioned at the beginning the packaging issues, just that there was no warning, no heads up, that the cards are all mixed together and need to be separated out. Our suggestions for improvement.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of it is on the learning curve.
Yeah.
I personally think what you need to do is create a snappy 10-minute focused video on just explaining the game.
Yeah. Just a quick round playthrough even.
Yeah.
That's focused. And put somewhere in the packaging, put that there.
Yeah. And I would also consider a tutorial that introduces one mechanic at a time. Okay, this game we're just going to build scenes.
Right.
Now we're going to add in the theme.
Mm-hmm.
And you see you want things to add to that. Now we're going to add the VIPs. Now we're going to add staff. You know what I mean? And just keep growing it until you get to everything. Look at video game tutorials. You play a game like Star Wars Outlaws or Assassin's Creed. They do little mini tutorials of each mechanic. You'll get a stealth tutorial, a combat tutorial, a climbing tutorial.
Mm-hmm.
You'll get all these tutorials, and then you're invited to bring them together.
Yeah, I would also say that for the rules themselves, focus more on short bullet points instead of paragraphs of explanation.
Yeah. And there was one game, I wish I could remember what it was.
Yeah.
You open the box and it says, "Do not shuffle these cards," in big letters, because the instructions take you through a game of it. It was a 2-person game. This one didn't have more people, so they could do this. Mm-hmm. It was a 2-person game, and you actually played out the game according to what the instructions said, and that was how you learned the mechanics, was being handheld through your first game. That would be cool, too.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how practical these things are, but that'd be cool.
No.
But yeah, larger cards with clearer symbols.
Yeah, we've already talked about that. It would actually... So I mentioned playing cards, but it would also be pretty cool if they were like tarot-sized cards.
Yeah.
And it would kind of fit with the theme.
Yes, you would need a huge table.
Yes.
But, we were the idiots who tried to do this on a tiny ottoman, so a little bit of that's on us.
Yeah. We didn't realize that the gamers didn't have a game table.
Yeah, that was really weird, wasn't it?
Yeah.
The D&D family didn't have a D&D table.
Yeah.
That's kind of weird when you put it like that.
Uh-huh.
All right. I would also say consider alternate versions with fewer mechanics.
Mm-hmm.
Like, say, okay, this is the robot version where we don't have to worry about staff.
Yeah.
and instead make it something else you get if you sacrifice a card, or just have it so that you discard a card if you don't want it. Basically, alternate versions with fewer mechanics can help in teaching it. And like I said, revamp the packaging. The main thing I want in the packaging, realistically, is just a way to store the cards so they don't get all shuffled together.
Yeah. You just want a little divider in the box.
A little divider would be good. Little slits you can put them in, or even just sleeves would be fine. Paper sleeves. I'm not picky. Well, I think that's about everything.
Yeah.
And even with the intro and outro, this episode will be shorter than the 55-minute tutorial. But on that note, everyone, thank you very much for joining us for the past 50-ish minutes. We greatly appreciate your time. Please check out more Haunt Weekly at hauntweekly.com, Haunt Weekly on Facebook, and youtube.com/hauntweekly. We will have information on where to get the game in the description. It is by DVC Games. All in all, enjoyed it. Encourage others to enjoy it as well. And by the way, the DVC Games website, because I forgot, is dvc.games. Jesus Christ, Jonathan, you should have had that up the whole time. But yes, indeed, check out dvc.games to get this among other games. Until next time, I'm Jonathan.
I'm Crystal.
And we will see you all next week.